Good morning, guys. We want to continue the past questions on SURD. Yes, yesterday I gave two assignments. Which is the one I circled here? That's number three. Objective question 49. I said which one is a rational number. Okay. In part one, you know that I gave some list of example of rational number. Okay. So from that example, you can depict that, okay, yes, this is not the rational, this is not a rational number rather. So now if you see this, option A is giving us -5, okay, which was part of the list I mentioned in the example in part one. That was why I said all the parts are very, very important because each of those parts, I've been able to summarize it. No story, not too much story, all the points that you need that will help you to understand better. Those were the things I've mentioned in those parts. So there's no much story and it's straightforward. So option B, root 4, perfect square. I gave an example of that, okay, which is 2 plus or minus 2 over 1, which is part of the example. I also give example of improper fraction. That was the first one I mentioned, first example. So if you look at this is root 90. That is not a rational number. So the answer in this regard is option E. Okay, because if you look at option E, I can still simplify it further. Okay, so it's not a rational number. So option D is irrational number, which is part of the example I gave under irrational number. So that is the answer. So now for question number 5, I said we should solve this. So which number 5? That's part of the assignment. Okay, let's start from number 5. So it's very simple. Like I said, this is just rationalization. So here we don't want square root to be at the denominator. So the rationalization of the denominator is what the removing of this square root from the denominator is what we call rationalization. So this one is the same thing as saying, okay, I want to, which implies 4 root 18 over root 8 times root 8 over root 8. Okay, so from here I can still simplify this further. Okay, and I can also simplify this further. So the same thing, multiplication law on the SURD, which we've been mentioning all this while. So this is the same thing as 9 times 2, 18. So this one is also the same thing as 4 times 2, 18. So here we still give me 8. 8 times 8, 64. That is 8 times 8. I'm only just splitting it down so that you can understand better. Okay, from here I can say I can split this multiplication law. That's times root 9 times root 2. The same thing applies here. I can split this root 4 times root 2 over this one is what? 64. 8 times 8 is 64. So from here I can say, okay, yeah, I have 4 here. What is root 9? That is 3. Then I have root 2. Okay, what is root 4? That is 2. 2 times 2, 4. I have root 2. So if you look at this, I can combine this root 2 and root 2 multiplication law. You see that multiplication is coming. Or then root 64, if you press your calculator, that's 8 times 8, 64. So which is straightforward. So here I can say 4 times 3, 12. 12 times 2, 44. So that is these and what? These, I can multiply them. 4 times 3 times 2. 4 times 3, 12. 12 times 2, that's what? 24. Then this one, I combine it. That's what? 2 times 2 multiplication law over 8. So that's 24 times root 4 over 8. So 24 times 2 over 8. So if you look at this very well, 8 here, 1, 8 here, 3. 8 times 3, 24. That's 3. That's 3 here. So the answer will now be what? 6. So you now say that implies 4 root 18 over root 8. After simplifying, will give us what? 6 in SURD form. Okay, so it's very, very simple. So just take your time and look at it very well. You see that it's straightforward. So the answer for 2003, objective number 8, just go to the option. You will see 6. By the time you solve more than enough, you see that you'll be very fast. In fact, some of them you don't need to jot them. most especially when you're in the jam class or maybe you're in a post UME, you don't need to jot them. You just okay, yes, this and that. But if you want to be double sure, you know that yes, let them take it to heaven. You will get this answer because you're taking your time to solve it and be sure that there is no mistake. Okay, so let's quickly move to the one we have for today. Look at it. This 2005 objective. That's number 2. That's part of the questions we've shown, we've shared with us. So if you look at that one very well, that's a question. That's 5 root 3 minus 3 root what? 2. So if you look at this very well, one is rationalization, then another one is what? Subtraction. Okay. I mentioned in one of the parts, either part 3 or part 4, addition and subtraction in SURD. So if you've not gone through it, go through it so that it will help you here. So if you want to do it, the first thing you can do here, you can rationalize if you like. First, let's rationalize this one. So this one will be what? 5 times root 3 over root 3 times root 3. Don't forget, our rationalization is what? A over root b is equals to a over root b times root b over root b. That's a condition for rationalization, okay? When you have SURD at the denominator. So that's exactly what transpired here. So minus, okay, 3 over root 2. The same thing applies here, times root 2 over what? Root 2, okay? So from here is the same thing as saying 5 root 3, 5 root 3 over what? That's 3 times 3, multiplication law, okay? Minus 3 root 2 over 2 times 2, multiplication law. So this one is the same thing as what? 5 root 3 over what? That's 3 minus 3 root 2. Don't forget 3 times 3 is 9. Square root of 9 is what? 3. This one is over 2. The same thing. 2 times 2, 4. Square root of 4 is 2. I can find LCM here. Okay. I can find LCM. The LCM is what? 6. Okay. 3 can go here. 2. 2 times this. That will give me 10 roots what? 3. Okay. Don't let me jump that step so that you can get the understanding of how I arrive at that. Okay. So I can say 6 LCM. The LCM is what? 6. 3 in 6. That's what? 2. Okay, that will now be 5 root 3 times what? 2. Okay. Now 2 in 6, that is 3. 3 times this, that will now be what? 3 root 2 times what? 3. Okay. So this implies that you can now have, don't forget, in SURD, I said if you want to multiply, multiply outside with outside, multiply inside with inside. So if you see that 2 is outside here, 5 is also outside here. So it means at the end of the day, I will have 10 root what? 3 minus 3 times 3, 9 what? Root what? 2 over what? 6. So that is that. So it means that if you look at it very well, this one is in root 2, this one is in root 3. I've told you before you can add or subtract under SURD, they must have the same. The condition is that they must have the same number inside the SURD. Let's assume this one is root 3, this one is also root 3. Then you can subtract 10 minus 9. Okay, but because they are not the same, you leave the answer as this. Okay, you can either leave it like as this or you leave it as this. Okay, that's very good. Okay, so don't forget, you can either leave this answer as this one, okay, or it depends on what in the option simplification, or you can leave it as this smallest. So you might not necessarily need to find the LCM. So it depends on what you're seeing in the objective part. Okay, so that is straightforward. So we're done with question A. So we are just trying to lay our hands on as many questions as possible so that for the rest of the week we'll enjoy past questions on the SURD, as many we can lay our hands on. So if you look at this, that's B. B now is now that's theoretical part. So if you look at what B is saying is in theory, imagine that's just SURD now. Okay, so that is SURD. The first one said A and B question. So evaluate. So what that one is saying is that evaluate, that's 0.18 times 12.5 over 0.05 times 0.2. Don't forget, in SURD, in the first part of the presentation, I said we can convert this to a normal fraction. If you look at, if you remember, I gave you a decimal number, and I said you can move the points. You can move the points 2 times or 3 times in part 1. So now, in this case, now I'm moving the points 1 and 2. So this one is the same thing as square root of 18 over 100. I'm moving the point 2 times. I'm moving it to the right, 1, 2. So 20 over 100. This one, I'm moving it 1 times. So that's times 125 over what? 100. Okay? Over. So look at this point here too. At the denominator, I'm moving it 2 times. That's 5 over 100. So I'm moving this one to 1 time times 2 over 10. Okay? It's just as simple as ABC. Okay, now from here, don't forget, we have a B square. Okay, so we have 18 over 100 times 125 over 100. Okay, all divided by, which is this division here. This division is what I'm changing to this one. Okay, all divided by 5 over 100. Okay, times 2 over what? 10. Okay, so if you look at this very well, there's something I can do here. I can do here. There's something I can do here. So if you look at this very well, to make it easier and faster, I can say square root of, that's 18 over 100 times 125 over 100. Now, this division can change to times. This one is 5 times 2, 10. Okay. Okay, let me jump that. Let me still do it like this. That's 5 times 2, 10. That's 100 times 10. That's just 1000. Okay, so multiplication. Now I can also say square root of, that's 18 over 100. You have to show your working. You have to show your working step by steps. When it comes to theory, you don't need to jump steps. So that is why it's good for you, even when you are solving your objective and your objective, you can still jump steps so that you can save some little, or you can save some time. But in the theory part, you have to show your working. 125 over 100. Now, if you look at this very well, this division, I can change it to times. How do I change it to times? So we'll still get to that. Okay, so I can move the denominator to numerator and numerator to denominator. So to change to times, it will now be times. Okay, let me use another color here. It will now be times 1000 over 10. Okay, don't forget to change to times. If you want to change it to time, numerator will change to denominator. Will be in denominator. Okay, so then denominator will be in numerator. Okay, that's just the principle. So here I can cancel 0 here, 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 and I can cancel 0 here, I can cancel 0 here. Okay, so which means that I'm trying to simplify now. That's 18 times 125 over, that is 10 times 10. 10 times what? 10. Okay, so then from here I can now say, oh, fantastic. Then the division law is coming into place. Ordinarily we've been dealing with multiplication law. Multiplication law, it has been surfacing. It has been surfacing all the time. But this time around, division law is also coming into place. So division law here says that root A over B is the same thing as root A over root B. Don't forget division law. Division law states that root A over B is the same thing as what? Root A over what? Root B. Okay, so that division law, we are applying it here now. Okay, now this one will now be root 18 times root 125 over root what? 100. Do you see it now? So division law, we are applying it here. Root 18 over this over what? Root 100. Okay, so now we can now say that this is the same thing as multiplication law. Root 18, that's root 18 times root 125 over 10. 10 times 10 is 100. Okay, so now let me, because of space, I believe we've understood how we started. So let me just clean at this part so that I can continue the calculation from there. Okay, so now this coming up here, so we can now say it's coming up here. This is the same thing as root 18 is the same thing as 9 times 2. 9 times 2, 18. Okay, then 1 and 25, you say 25, that's 25, 4 and 5. So that's 25 times 5 will give you, 25 in 100 is 4, in 125 that is 5. So that's root 25 times 5. 5 times 5, 25, 5 times carried to 5 times 2, 10. So over 10. So from here I can say root 9 times root 2, okay, times root 25 times root what? 5 over what? 10. What's 9? 3 times 3, 9. So 3 times root 2, okay, times 5 times 5, 25, times what? Root 5 over what? 10. Okay, now I can say here that this is that's 5 times 3. I can say 5 here 1, 5 here 2. Okay, at the end of the day, multiplication law, 5 times 2, that will give me 3 times 2 times what? 5 over what? 2. That will give me 3 root 10 over what? 2. So now you can see that that is just a simplification. Very simple. I'm moving from here. Look at it, I've split here root 18 times root 25 over 10. I'm coming up here, okay? 18 is the same thing as what? 9 times 2. Then 125 is the same thing as 25 times 5 over 10. Square root of 9 is 3. I have my root 2, multiplication law. Square root of 25 is 5. I have my 5 here. Okay, over 10. 5 here 1, 5 here 2. Okay, I have 3 times 2 times 5, multiplication law, over what? 2. Okay, then at the end of the day, I have my answer to be this. So which implies you can now write, please always write conclusion. It implies that you write the question again, root 018 times 12.5 over 0.05 times 0.2 equals 3 root 10 over what? 2. It's as simple as that. So please, we'll continue from where we stop. Continue to like, continue to share, and then continue to comment. And if you have any observation, or if you see that you're not clear in some area, or if you see that okay, you observe anything, please just put it in the comments. We'll ensure that we'll go through it. Thank you very much, and happy listening.